Well, hello, Columbia. Matt McCormick, President, Columbia Chamber of Commerce, coming to you on our Friday update. But this one's a little different. As you can tell, we're back at the Chamber office for kind of a special edition Friday update. And we have a special guest with us, our Presiding Commissioner, Dan Atwill. But what we wanted to do is the reason we kind of changed this up is because yesterday we had our webinar. Unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties, our commissioner wasn't able to talk. And so what we wanted to do is take some time, and he agreed to come, and we make sure we're 6 feet apart and we're not sitting next to each other. But talk a little bit about how the county is approaching the rolling open and getting businesses back open. And so, Dan, we appreciate you coming out. Thank you so much for everything you and the county have done. And I'm going to start off with a quick question and then turn it over to you. How you doing? How's the family doing? Everybody okay?
My wife and I are doing fine.
Good.
She had a birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
And actually the hot box cookie guy showed up with some cookies for her, which was very nice. And we are fairly quiet in our neighborhood, so it's been an interesting time. And I want to thank you for what you and the Chamber have done in the last several weeks in connection with helping communicate with the business community of Columbia and Boone County. Your role has been significant and very, very much appreciated. So thank you, and I hope that we move on through this as quickly as possible and find ourselves someday back the way we were before this all started.
Where we can shake hands and have lunch together again, right?
Right.
So, well, we appreciate it, and there's a lot of community partners that have continued to move our community forward. So thank you for the kind words and for all you are doing. So let's get rolling. So yesterday we had our webinar about the opening back up and coming out of how do we roll out of this stay-at-home order. Again, we apologize for our technical issues, but I'm just going to turn this over to you for a couple minutes. Talk to us about what your thoughts are on this and where the county's coming from and all that y'all been working on.
Well, I would say that from the county perspective, the county has done everything that we know to do to keep services in full status. We've had a reduced workforce. We've had limited access to the main building, the main government building downtown. But I know that the sheriff has continued providing law enforcement as he always does. And I've seen no glitches at all in that area. Our Road and Bridge Department has done a remarkable job because, in an odd way, this has been a little bit of benefit because in order to improve gravel roads, it's easier if you don't have a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
So our gravel roads may be in better shape than they've ever been in at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's also done with a reduced staff because you want to keep those people separated as much as you can under the guidelines. And I think that they've done well in keeping their spaces properly identified and maintained. So there are other areas of the county that have been very busy. The assessor's office and collector's office are always busy. They've had to modify how they do business. But most things that you need as a citizen are available on the internet or by phone calls. Mm-hmm. And that's gradually going to change. Within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will move into a more active role, much more similar to the way it was. We don't have a definite date for the full reopening of the building, but I expect it will be around the week of May 18th. And hopefully there's some adjustment involved, mm-hmm. Trying to get the spacing right for the employees. Our maintenance department has come up with some very good solutions by using these Lexan panels to put between people who are really too close under the 6-foot rule. But they look nice and seem to be working fine. Our county clerk is in constant stress over what's going to happen with the election issues, but it'll work out. I think it'll all get done. Other people within the county, the court system will be opening their doors, I believe, the week of May 15th. It'll actually be the 18th. But it's everybody's approaching this on a gradual basis, thinking that we don't want to put employees at risk or the public.
Yeah.
And that just takes time, but we're going to get there.
Good, good. How do you feel that, what are your thoughts on how Boone County as a whole has managed to weather the crisis when you start taking a look, not just necessarily at the operations of the county, but when you start looking out to the citizens of our county and to the businesses out in our county? How do you believe everybody's been doing and managed the crisis?
Oh, Matt, can you ask that question one more time?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So taking a look at, what are your thoughts on how Boone County as a whole has managed the crisis to date? You know, not necessarily just the operations as you are starting to open things back up and what y'all have done, but then let's take a look at the business community in the county, the citizens in the county as a whole. What's your thoughts there of how it's been managed?
I think it's that we've done very well. You know, this is the type of issue that involves strong opinions on both sides.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have too.
Just a little, yeah.
So you're exactly right. You've got to look at the population as a whole, not as just one isolated sector. And that leads to more confusion for some people because they are interested in one aspect of things instead of what's the best thing for the most people. And if there's one rule out there that probably fits this better than anything else, it's that.
Yeah.
What can we do that benefits the most people? And it doesn't always work for everyone.
Yeah.
So we've been careful. You know, when we started, I thought, you know, we're going to make a lot of mistakes here because there wasn't any real guidance. We never faced this situation. Everything changed from day to day, kind of still does. But with that kind of background, it looked like we were just destined to have some terrible failures. But I believe I can say with a large amount of certainty that, well, that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
We haven't had this tragic event or terrible situation. Now, I feel deep sympathy for those people who have suffered. And I know there are a lot of people out there who have problems being employed, problems with transportation, and I am very concerned about that. But again, if you step back and say what's the best for the most people, you have to bring this all under the umbrella. And hopefully when this is over, we will be able to say, well, we did the best we could. Because we're mindful of all those things and all the problems and issues that people are experiencing. But we can't solve everyone's problems.
Yeah, it's that challenge that, you know, a lot of big decisions are having to be made with very little information. There's not a playbook for any of this, so, you know, and what it takes is that collaboration between all the different entities, the business community, the community as a whole, our governmental agencies, the city, the county, our first responders and healthcare, and taking that collaboration through all that. And that's been encouraging to see us do that. You know, and then it is great to get all those opinions. It really is. I mean, there's very strong opinions on all sides, and there's more than just two sides to this, right? And so it's always great to get those opinions. Is what makes us a good place to be in Columbia and Boone County, a good place to be. So taking a look, you brought up, you know, kind of how we went into the closing of everything, which was rather abruptly for the city and county. It was a pretty short time frame. As one of our businesses said, you know, we moved our employees out quickly for their safety, and we're going to bring them back slowly for our safety, for their safety. And so, but the reopening is, we're going to take this very gradual. Is the city and county better positioned now to handle COVID-related challenges than they were at the beginning? You believe that you are in a better place now with better information and such?
Well, some of the questions have been answered, at least partially,
Yeah.
about what's going to happen. I mean, we didn't know if this thing was going to flow through like a tidal wave, or that we would have hot spots here and there and piecemeal this thing out. I think, we'll never know for sure if the stay-at-home effort was the reason that we have low numbers. I think with certainty it's part of the reason.
Yeah.
But did it create the situation that we have today? I don't know if you can ever figure that out. Now, we're going to find out a few things more when the students come back for the fall semester. If they bring with them a new series of cases of positive results, it'll be pretty evident that we've got a new problem. As we gradually ease into more activity and more businesses being open for business, either fully or partially, we're going to find out what effect that has on the spread of positive results. So we're still in the experimental phase of that, and I'm glad we're not Georgia.
Yeah.
I think the officials in Georgia have done the ultimate experiment. Let's just open the doors and see what happens. Now, maybe that's not quite what they've done, but Florida tried, as you mentioned earlier, the opening of the beaches, and that seems to be a thing that doesn't work.
Yeah, they're already closing them back up again.
So, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We'd hate to see that happen. So the gradual approach has just common sense effect in that situation. So other than that, hundreds of things I guess you could mention about how these things have evolved, and you watch the federal level, what they say, which sometimes isn't always the same from day to day. Yeah. The governor has been very consistent, I think. Not everybody agrees with him, but I think he's done an excellent job. I think he was slow to take the steps that we took here. Well, remember, he's got to look at his venue isn't just 180,000 people in Boone County. It's 6 million people from St. Louis City to Worth County, where a whole county may have less than 5,000 people. So how do you draft a proposal that fits the differences and the diversity in those environments? So that would be a tough job. Yeah. And I think giving local communities the opportunity to fine-tune what he's done in the last orders that he's issued makes a lot of sense.
What works best for the local community and the local city and counties. Wonderful. Take a look. What do you think? And you brought up the idea of all of our college students coming back, which, as we all know, is kind of a lifeblood of Columbia and Boone County. They bring back with them so much good. But what are some of maybe the other biggest challenge ahead that we have to work that we're going to have to go through as we reopen?
Well, the federal government has provided funding for businesses and individuals. I don't know many people who have actually received funding, but I know that it's out there, and I have experienced a couple of people who received checks in the mail, or direct deposit actually. Yeah. So the effect of that will only last so long. Yeah. And I think that's one of the main reasons that we need to have a plan for reopening. I hope that this works out. I believe in the effort that's been made by our health department to do this on a gradual basis, which is slightly tighter than what the governor has proposed, but it makes sense for this county, in my opinion. Now, others will have different opinions about that, but I'm looking at it strictly as an elected official who actually represents 180,000 people. Yeah. And a lot of the time, the people who have a different opinion have a vested interest in their reasoning, and that's understandable.
Yeah, can't blame them. One last question for you. What do we need to do as a community, as a region, as a business community? What are some things that you think we need to do to make sure that we get back to this 100%, that we don't have this relapse? Because as we've talked many times, one of the more detrimental things is if we have to start going backwards and start shutting things back down. So what are some things that, some advice to the business community you think that you could give out there that to make sure that we continue down the path forward?
Well, I would like to think that they would support more testing.
Yeah.
From what I've learned, and believe me, I don't claim any expertise in this, but I think that testing helps tremendously in determining, one, where are the hot spots? What do you need to be focused on in terms of trying to prevent it? And how many people are we faced with in terms of future problems? See, one of our biggest problems is we're such a wonderful place. We've got people from all these other counties that want to come here, and thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
It'd kind of be nice if they stayed away for a while, but thank goodness that they do come to Boone County and Columbia. What do? They bring with them the potential of bringing this back and reigniting the virus fires. So how do you deal with that? I don't know. I mean, one of the things are always contradictory. If you want to get everything back up and running, you need people to go to businesses, and you need people to go to events and all kinds of things. Well, how do you get them to do that? You know, I just read an article this morning that if everything were opened up, there'd be a percentage of people that wouldn't go back anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not a guarantee that opening everything results in success. So I think one of the main things has to be public relations.
Mm-hmm.
How do you tell the public effectively that it's safe in my business? How do you encourage those people in our surrounding counties to believe that? I think there are going to be a lot of fallout effects.
As we kind of wrap up again, Commissioner, thank you for everything you're doing, for everything that the whole commission's doing. All three of our commissioners are working diligently for what's the best for the county and our business community. And a big thank you to, of course, all the frontline workers out of the county, our health professionals, our Boone County Fire District, our Sheriff's Department. They're doing a wonderful job. We appreciate everything that they're doing. So thank you very much. And thanks for being here today.
Thank you. We don't give our health people and our first responders enough credit.
Yeah, they're doing.
We really need to. We recognize, and I'd like to just say that.
Yeah. That
we need to recognize them for the incredibly important work that they do, and their dedication's outstanding.
Well, and I don't know about you, and I know, unfortunately, we have to be 6 feet apart, but it's nice to have a conversation that's not on a computer screen and with a real person. So we appreciate you coming out and spending a little time with us today. With that, as we start to wrap up, as a reminder, new orders came out yesterday afternoon about how we start to reopen. And so if you have not had a chance to read those, make sure you go to the county's website, you go to the city's website, our website, ColumbiaMoChamber.com, and our COVID-19 resource page. We have all those linked there. As a reminder, everything starts happening on Monday, May the 4th. And so with that, Columbia, thank you so much, and stay strong.